everybody. Today, is Wednesday, August 22, 2018. This is MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I'm Goes, that's Dan Tom. Voice you're in your head, that's Danny Elkers.
That me.
That's how we do's.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of stories that we've been talking about that should have been the pre-show. Because they're stories that now we have to wait and talk about on the air. There's George partying with a person he thought was a small child drinking.
That makes it sound so much better.
You might want to clarify that
one. Want to walk that one back for the Dan Tom minded.
Studio, I think maybe you should clarify that.
Yeah, exactly.
Andy Milanakis.
Okay.
I'm excited to hear that one. I've never heard that story from George, so I'm excited to hear. Hopefully we can get it out of him.
Tell it on
Yeah.
What was the other story you have to tell on the air, Goes? There's something else you said. Let's talk about it today.
That one. I know what you're talking about.
Why not?
That was a Dan Tom laugh right there. That was a very suspect.
Why not?
Yeah, dude. Maybe one day. Like the day I announced my retirement, maybe that.
How about this?
Now there's the internet. You can dig and find shit.
How about this? How about you can come on my show and give a Goes exclusive?
Fuck no, Danny.
Why not?
By the third season, I was constantly grabbing myself. They had to cut the
out.
crap out of it. Yeah. I was drunk before every taping. Why is that the first thing that came to mind when you said that, Danny?
I have no idea.
Alright.
Let's see if George remembers it. Can you throw on your headset real quick?
Ah, the fan! The fan!
Your favorite.
The fan!
Oh, this guy.
Do you remember...
as soon as you come in, you turn on that fan, and it just sounds like it's grinding things.
Do you remember...
It does sound a little grindy today.
We were
still
living at Jason's Straub house.
Straub house.
One night you went to... out with Trig, and I was asking you, like, how is it? And you were texting me about this strange kid that decided to party with you guys that ended up being Andy Milanakis.
Who's that guy?
He's a kid that he looks like he's a kid, but he's not.
Coming up in
and
30.
He was like downing bottles of tequila at the table. And do you remember any of that? Oh man, it was at Planet Hollywood.
Either it was a really good
same night as Cerrone and Leonard Garcia stood us up the next day because Trig and Cerrone almost got into it.
Maybe.
Because I haven't gone to Planet Hollywood
familiar.
too many times with Trig, and I think
it was like a private. Somebody at a table, and so you're giving me a play-by-play.
We did go to a table. Yeah.
This dude is.
All right, guys, coming up. Stand by.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape.
There's just no escape.
No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Coming to you from the Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, we're MMA Junkie Radio. That's Goes. To my left is Dan Tom. Back east, Danny Otto. I'm George. We matter. There you go. I don't want to confuse the SiriusXM audience who get this on replay. So I'm phrasing it that way. YouTube's getting us live, but SiriusXM, y'all get us at key driving times, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is 5 Pacific, so that's a key driving time for the Pacific time zone. I catch us a lot at 5 p.m. Pacific, actually.
You're on the road at that time?
Yeah, I'm kind of finishing up my day, or like for example, yesterday I was taking Big Ralph to the airport, and I went to Extreme Couture, checked out the practice there. A lot of people, man. And so the other replay is 4 a.m. Pacific, so the West Coasters are like, what the fuck? But East Coasters are driving in, so good times.
I had a Midwest person tell me they catch our show
driving in
Sirius on the whatever time they do. It's Chicago based, but I heard that over the break. That was nice.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I got an email from a kid that went to the University of Iowa, and he goes, "I hear your show on campus every day." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, our like college station plays it."
Nice. I bet there's a lot of that going on too. Yeah, a lot of college stations will do stuff like that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know what the rights are to something like that. I'm sure a lot of people would have a problem with that. Who's that? Singles?
I was just queuing something up.
Oh, The Bachelor or something?
No, it's just a commercial that plays before a YouTube clip.
All right.
I have a lot of dumb stuff I'd like to talk about.
Today we are going to talk to Derrick Lewis and Bobby Moffatt. Lewis, of course, is one of the top heavyweights in the world, number 6 in the USA Today Sports / MMA Junkie rankings, which got published yesterday. He fights Alexander Volkov, who I believe is number 4.
4?
Yeah. 4. I'm calling it a pivotal matchup, but I have to believe Stipe Miocic has the winner of Brock Lesnar and Daniel Cormier, even though there may not be enough time for... I think Cormier could just retire then, right? He's got that March cutoff date.
I think he does.
Yeah, so he just sails off if and when he wins. Or if Brock pulls off the upset and he sticks around, then I guess it'd be Miocic and Brock Lesnar, since they're pairing up the other two. So I don't want to call it a number 1 contender match, but still important for both guys. The good news is Lewis, who didn't look good in his last fight, neither did his opponent. It was a highly criticized fight. He obviously is healthy enough that he took this fight booking, because if you'll recall, he was saying that his back stiffened up yet again, and it was getting serious, so serious that he'd have to go to Germany and get some injections, and he was hearing that might be the cure, and here we are with him officially slated to fight Alexander Volkov. So I'm going to take it as he must have got cleared.
I mean, the way he sounded at the press conference, the way he felt, the way he's been talking about this for so long, I thought for sure he's getting the surgery.
I'll let him explain, but he did not have to go to overseas, but he did address the lower back injury, and I guess he's been cleared to go. So knock on wood, right?
Yeah.
We definitely need that one for sure. We went over this on Monday. I don't want to retread over what we spoke about, but that's a card that... Huh?
You don't care.
Well, I just don't want to spend the time talking about it. No, I don't mind bringing up the jinx. That's why I said knock on wood or whatever you guys want to do. But I don't want to like explain it over. But what I did say was that card is gonna break records. It could. I don't know. You know, some tabbed it up as a $2 million pay-per-view estimate. That might be a bit optimistic. I mean, that would crush the previous one by a lot, and that one took it took 8 years to beat, and they only barely clipped it. The rumors were that UFC 100, or the facts I should say, I guess, UFC 100 sold 1.6 million pay-per-views, and that was eclipsed by Conor versus Nate Part 2, which sold 1,650,000, so only by 50,000. So for this one to just sail across it, I don't know. Anything involving Conor is a live, you know, it's a live play with predictions. But wow, how much does Khabib bring to the table? And I know he's got that shiny O next to right below the loss column, and he's got a shiny belt now, as he is the UFC lightweight champion, and this will be a title fight. But are all of a sudden people going to be okay with? I'm just wondering, are they going to even raise the price point for that pay-per-view?
I don't think so.
$2,500 for seats. Ooh. You know, they definitely weren't shy about that one. And could they say, yeah, guess what? This is the $79.99 one, or $75? I don't know.
I said yesterday's show. I told you, George, yesterday's show. I feel you on the jinx thing, but I still hope the MMA guys aren't listening to yesterday's show. And today's show, I hope whoever's in charge of those prices aren't listening to this show. What you just said, because I wouldn't put it past. I hope not. I don't.
Can one order the pay-per-view already?
Right now?
Yeah. Let me see. I want to see
so.
UFC 229 pay-per-view pricing. Let's see what that brings us. I know it's sold out. If you wanted to go, those are done. $2,505, $2,005, $1,505, $1,005. Ghost.
Sold out like a Beastie Boys concert.
Mm-hmm. As far as the pay-per-view, let's see here. I'm on the UFC website. It's got UFC 228. Let me click that. If you want to purchase that through the website, what the fuck? Oh, $64.99 for the pay-per-view HD. And the UFC gets all of that, right? When it's through their website?
I don't think so.
Whereas cable and satellite companies, there's a split. They get a percentage, the UFC gets a percentage. But it's when it's through the site, I imagine they get way more, if not all.
Well, I guess you're right, because they're not...
All right. Here's the special deal. I saw 91.96 and I almost threw up. But, okay, let me read this. Pay-per-view HD plus 50% off 6-month UFC Fight Pass. So, the UFC Fight Pass is usually for the year. I think you can get it for 8 times 12 is 108. I think that's right. What's 8 times 12? You guys know anything?
Well, I'm looking something up right now.
Let me look that up. See
okay.
Here. 8 times 12.
When is the pay-per-view?
I want to see if this is a deal or not.
October 5th or 6th?
96?
6, right?
96, yes.
Hey.
You beat me. You're faster than the calculator.
Half
Asian. Right. So, basically, I see what they're saying. It's basically like getting UFC Fight Pass. Oh, it's only for 6 months, so half of 96 is 48. It's not that great a deal. I guess it ain't that special UFC. You get off it. Throw in the 6-month Fight Pass. I don't know.
A lot of things are like that.
But $64.99. But that's for UFC 220. This is so confusing. I thought I had clicked UFC 228, but it was showing me Dillashaw. 228 is $64.99. Let's see what 229 is.
It felt like just a couple years ago when they would offer you any kind of service would offer you 1 month or 6 month or 12 month. There was actually savings there, but I noticed a lot of times it's like this. There's not really that much, like what you just pointed out.
Yeah, because 48. Quick math is 48 plus 64. That's 112, right? So you're saving $17 if you get the special deal. I don't know. All right, so $64.99 for UFC 229.
Okay.
So they're not marking it up.
I was looking at what they have to combat college football-wise. In the top 25 on October 6th, Michigan plays Maryland. Michigan State plays Northwestern.
Michigan plays early, usually, unless they're the 5 o'clock for us game.
But for some reason, the day before, on Friday, they have a bunch of games going off.
Yeah, as long as they're not going head up against just a boxing event, I think,
Boxing?
Yeah, college football won't interfere with anything.
It's not that they interfere with it. It's the fact that it's time. If you have a wife and kids and you tell them, I'm going over to Doug's house today because we got to watch USC Notre Dame. And you go and you watch that's going to take up a lot of time. Like, it's tougher for you to go, and by the way, I'll be back for 10 minutes, and then I'm going over to Danny's house to watch the UFC. There's just only
Conor
so much
events,
time
though, usually the wife goes.
Think so?
Yeah. So it's a spectacle. You got to give them that.
Or maybe they just want to get away. All right, my man's going to watch fights. Now I'm going to go do something.
The chicks?
Yeah.
They're clingy.
Maybe.
Most of them. All right. $64.99. Where the hell were we headed with all this?
Just trying to figure out if they would up the price because of the pay-per-view points.
So they're not, even though the tickets did go up. I'm Mr. Magoo over here. I don't know where we were headed.
We're talking about how many pay-per-views it would sell.
Oh, yeah. So they're predicting 2 million.
Wow.
That would, completely crush the previous record. And I just don't think so. I
wonder if they're realistic on the
Conor's huge, but he went from 1.65 to 1.2 3 months later with Eddie Alvarez. It was an August show to a November show. That told me, again, novice PPV guy over here, it told me Nate had something to do with it. But is fighting Nate that big of a deal, that big of a sell, versus him going after a historic second card in New York against Eddie Alvarez, who usually fights pretty exciting fights, and New York was a deep card that night.
It was.
So I don't know. It just seemed a little bit. It threw me off a little bit. That only came at 1.2. Now it was football season, so maybe going back to goes. Was it going up against anything? I don't remember early November being anything that stands out. So now throw in Khabib, who doesn't really have an exciting style. I mean, if you're for the casual fan,
It means ruthless.
that's the thing. Yeah, he does go after the finish. He does go after punishing you and embarrassing you, and he'll talk to you. But it's not a fan friendly like stand up Rock'em Sock'em Robots type of matchup. So yeah, I don't know, man. I 2 million, if they get there, God bless them. But it seems like a lot. And if UFC 229 loses that fight, it won't matter if they lose Volkov and Lewis. Hardcore fans will be pissed, but the casual fans, they're in. It's all sold out. People will still buy it just for Conor, and because they've done it in boxing, and they've done it in boxing for landslide matchups, like basically Floyd versus everybody towards the end of his career. You still knew, you still paid. And I think a lot of that has transferred over to Conor McGregor.
Yeah, a lot of times people didn't even know what the co-main event is on a boxing card.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think that's high. I think they must be basing it off old attitudes / what it should make, right? Because all the pay-per-views should have made at least a base minimum. Maybe not the Gangbuster one shouldn't have made big, but they should have done at least a base minimum. And what have we seen consistently? All levels of pay-per-views, or viewership even. If we could take it to that, we're hitting low marks. It's because
227 did okay though.
Maybe it did okay, but August has always been that weird month, right, where we had Kohei Rousey, we're like 190, like look at what, I mean, granted it was Rousey, but even that, despite it being Rousey, it overshot, right, because kind of like what Goes was saying, what's going on in the sports world, which I'm super ignorant to, so I'm really bad about factoring that in, but what I do factor in is that whatever metrics they're getting from the Russia side of things, Khabib side of things, can't be accurate, right, because of the way they consume pay-per-views in that market. And as far as, the one thing, again, they're measuring what it should, but what they're not measuring is the intangible factor, the saturation, obviously, that they have to ignore it because it's their business model now. Their business model is saturating the market. But the negative that comes with that is, I think that we all can agree, is a big part of the, are we really going to expect these guys to know who Khabib is? Let's not forget, before this bus incident and great promo we got from it, the guy fought, 3 times in 4 years? And like you said about the style, and it's not like he's getting highlight reel knockouts. I mean, at hardcores, we love, we know him, we know his style, we revere him, we respect him, we're fans of his, sure. But again, that's just hardcores. So do we really expect people to follow Khabib this whole time? They may be familiar with the Conor story.
That's what I'm saying. Is he that dance partner? Is he the Nate Diaz dance partner that can get them to 2 million?
I don't
think so
either.
The UFC would have to create that angle for him, but he's not going to take initiative on that. They're going to have to set him up for stuff like that.
I mean, even Nate had time in the bank, right? So where you slip him in at 196 last minute, and it still does great, right? Despite the result, leading into it, it all had the buzz, even before the fight even happened. But because why? Nate, just like you said, he's the dance partner, but he also had that time in the bank. He's been around. He's been on the Fox shows. He's been on pay-per-views.
Former WEC champ, highly coveted wins. The big win on Fox, where after Michael Johnson, where he cussed cussed and called out McGregor.
Active
and
until
he's
that
one
point.
half of the Diaz brothers. He's Nick Diaz's brother, so there was something going in. I wrote down some predictions. I know that, and it was the Andrew Simon episode. I think we all wrote down what we think it'll sell.
Yeah.
And I think you guys were actually on the lower end.
Yeah.
I was on the higher end, but I sure as hell wasn't at 2 million. But kudos to them, man. 2505 gone. 2005 gone. 1505 gone. And then I was showing goes. They even have on the UFC website these VIP experiences. Those are all sold out.
But what does gone mean? Because I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because it's still money in their pocket. But a fight like this, I have to imagine a lot of that isn't like the three of us. It's just brokers, right? Buying tickets and then they're gonna resell it for whatever.
Yeah.
But once they're bought, the UFC's happy.
Yeah, but
I think that
like,
that's limited as well.
Interest, I don't know that we can gauge it that way.
Well, if it's sold out fast, then months later, it should transfer into a big night.
It is, and it is impressive that it does. But also, it also feels kind of like, especially when you put it in the smaller arena, as opposed to or not the smaller arena, but it's like when you put it in it. Sorry, how am I saying it? When you put it in that perspective, it feels like a dog and pony show in the sense of like, yeah, they're going to sell it. Of course, the ticket prices are going to be higher. But then, like you said, I got to imagine, I wish we had an insider for this, but the distributors, the people who buy in bulk, I got to imagine that's higher than normal. And then UFC reserving for celebrities and seats like that, making sure they're making those front seats count, that small minority, as far as who's going to be on camera. I got to imagine they step up those invitations,
I heard some of them now have to pay for certain cards. The Floyd fight versus Conor, a lot of them had to pay their own money as well.
Yeah.
Because the demand is there. So it's like, well, now you got to pay. I know a lot of times, a lot of the Endeavor employees, fuck it, I just like calling them UFC employees. It's still UFC.
Yeah.
The UFC employees, a lot of them would get a certain allotment of tickets. On these, they're told, we don't have an allotment of tickets. So even they have to give some of them back. Even some of the high executives have to give some of them back because they're going to sell for more. So maybe I should put it to you guys like this. We think of Floyd versus Manny as, was that the 4 million pay-per-view sold card? Okay.
Yeah.
Conor and Floyd, that sold 4.4, I think. And I think prior to that, guys, Floyd only sold like 1 million and just over 1 million.
Right.
It's not like he was always the 4 million guy. Conor. So what I'm trying to get at is Conor now is Floyd.
For us?
What Floyd was.
Yeah.
Right?
What Floyd was. Right. What Floyd was. He sells 1.2, 1.6, 1 point that. So it's a special night in Las Vegas when he fights. Hell, maybe even to another level just because of how animated the Irish are and him having a whole country support and all that. But he's basically in the combat sports world what Floyd was. Not what Floyd was for those two special, just out-of-the-box fights that will never be replicated. Or I shouldn't say that. I mean, something will come along. But prior to that, Robert Guerrero, Victor Ortiz, same thing. Except this one, you have to sit on the edge of your seat because anything can happen. In fact, Conor's not even the favorite going in. Whereas with Floyd, people were just paying anyway just to see the ass whooping, and a lot of people were paying just to see if there was going to be the Mike Tyson Buster Douglas moment.
I could see that comparison, but it would have to be like a super expedited comparison. Like Conor was trying to accomplish the Floyd career within like a small fraction of it, right?
Because he got to it sooner.
He did, but the one thing I would like to see as far as this comparison goes is you kind of nailed it. Floyd wasn't always making that. There was a portion where he was only making X number, but the one common thread with Floyd was his schedule, right? He was always, that was a real key to his attack, whether he was hitting these big pay-per-views later or before he knew to fight on this weekend and draw an opponent for this weekend. And, so it was always, what was it? It was a Cinco de Mayo weekend, and then he would fight in the fall. And there was a consistency to Floyd. Again, maybe not up until this last part, and whether you like him or not, he kind of, you earned that, right? I mean, you can't deny that as far as that goes. But I would like to see more consistency out of Conor, which is what I'm saying. But we've had this discussion on the show before where I think we're all in the same boat, where we only see maybe Conor with, three? We're given, three, average of three more fights after this?
Could be.
Well, considering this?
Most.
Yeah.
I think with Nate Diaz, people tune in for a good fight. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
I think with Khabib, people may tune in because they think Conor's going to get his ass kicked.
The ass kicking, right. I'm telling you, man, this is going to be a big show. And the town's going to be buzzing for the whole week.
Yeah.
And even the fight. In fact, I think Conor even takes it to a new level because he makes the whole week a ton of fun. I mean, boxing, for those that don't know, they have the fighter receptions. It's no big deal with Floyd because all he does is drive in from Southern Highlands and walk into a lobby. And they, you know, hey, this is where you're going to be staying and sign here and take some pictures or whatever. But these other fighters that don't live here, you know, in MMA, they, or the boxers, sorry, I should say boxers, for them it's a grand arrival. In boxing, in MMA, we're going to have these press conferences and all these other things, and it'll carry a buzz because Conor does, and Conor just is funny. Floyd isn't really funny. Floyd talks trash, but his trash talk was more about, like, I'm going to smoke this guy, and we all knew he was going to do it, and he was undefeated, and no one had ever done it, so you can't really say, I got your number, I'm going to be the one, 38 others have failed, 42 others have failed, you know what I mean? With Conor, since he already lost and got that out of the way, it's just, you can say what you want. Well, you tapped once, and then he'll say 10 other things that just smash you. So you got to come in a little bit prepared. And Khabib just isn't the 26-0 or whatever he is. He's not the smack talker that could actually use that to his advantage. He's just the quiet assassin. So
his confidence is his smack talk. And sometimes it works pretty well for him, I think.
Yeah, I like Goz's angle, what he said, I think it was yesterday, where he said the mental. I think maybe it was we were debating on who would be a harder opponent, like a Ferguson or Khabib. But what you're bringing about Khabib was true, is that even though it won't, like what me and George are talking about, we don't think it will translate on the sales aspect. It'll take away Conor's, one of his offensive tools in the game, which is the psychological warfare.
Yeah,
you think that Conor would have a tougher time with Tony than Khabib?
Let me cite something that I forgot to say, and I think I've explained before in the show, and I'll go back into it. But remember when Conor first lost to Nate, and I love it because you got some of the most honest. It was probably some of the last very honest martial arts version of Conor we got, right? Because he was already on his ascension, then he got humbled, and we get one more glimpse of that Conor, right? Until we've had all this up to this point. And in that glimpse, he's very honest, and he goes, "To beat me, you have to have some kind of." You have to have something on me. You have to have things like length. You have to have things like durability, diversity. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he did. I believe he did say those things. And that's Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson, much more diverse than Nate Diaz, even more durable in the sense that he'll get cut open, but he doesn't let the blood bother him. Not that it does Nate or anything else, but the few times we've seen Tony hurt, he recovers. He can box. He can do Muay Thai. He can, do very sporadic blitzing, striking, change levels and wrestle, Granby roll, pull guard, roll for leg locks, reverse situations when guys go for takedowns on him. He Granby rolls out of it like crazy, which was one of the things that was going to be key in his fight if he would have fought Khabib, one of the 4 times they were scheduled to fight. But so it's much harder to game plan. It's much harder to prepare, and he has intangibles that Conor himself and what we've seen, the few things we've seen work against Conor, have. Whereas Khabib, though it's more clear path for Khabib to beat Conor, there's also more of a clear path for Conor to beat Khabib. Whereas I think that path gets muddied when Conor has to go against Ferguson, trying to, how do I attack him? What's coming at me?
What I remember from that press conference is him saying he didn't manage his energy levels.
That too, yeah. That was.
I don't remember that other stuff you said, but I do want to.
Maybe it was in the lead up of the second one. Maybe I'm muddying it. It's in that fog, that stretch there.
So if you remember the second one, he was off the gas a little bit because he wanted to make sure he lasted into the 5th, and in the end, that helped him. That his cardio had improved, and he did manage his output better, and he got out of there with a controversial decision. Even some had it for Nate.
Yeah.
But he learned, which is what he says, win or learn. What you're saying, though, I think 2 of them are tied together. Tony probably does have length on him because he is a taller guy, and he does have the longer reach. But I'm just not as impressed with his boxing as everyone else is.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's one of those fights that will stay upright longer than the Khabib fight will. Now all those other attacks that I feel like he's a more diverse MMA fighter. Yeah. But as far as a striker, it's not like he's a notorious kicker where he's sometimes kicking at your head or taking out that calf I don't know. He's got the whole complete package. But when it comes to just striking, I feel like that fight can be on the feet a little bit longer, a lot longer than him versus Khabib. That's why I feel like he'd have a better time with Tony. What used to impress me with Tony was something I saw years ago. It was just this big, powerful overhand right that he has.
Yeah.
That he rocked Ramsey Nijem win.
Yep.
Now maybe I was super impressed because I had a great seat that night.
Yeah.
And I heard it.
Kind of parlay.
I saw it and heard it and celebrated it. No, you know what? That other night, you know what I thought you were gonna bring up? That's the night. If you'll remind me, say go back to that night. What did you want to add to it? And I'll add to it.
Okay.
But anyway, on that particular night, I just had a great seat. I just remember going, wow, man. I always used to think any wrestler who's got power or has got hand speed can be a handful.
Yeah.
You know, and they're only gonna get better. But in the other fights I've seen with Tony, like I say, sometimes it's just, I don't know. It's like he's hitting a bag sometimes. And how can you argue with the results? He's like 13-1 in the UFC. He's super legit. And so when people were saying take Tony over Khabib, I didn't think they were crazy. I thought Tony is just one of those guys that, you know, at least has the wrestling to compete with Khabib and not make it an automatic takedown. He can threaten Khabib's submission defense, which we've never really seen. So I felt like, okay, that's an argument that could be made. But as far as Conor versus Khabib the last couple fights, yes, I like Conor's chances more because Khabib just seems to he seems a lot more confident in the striking than I believe it really is. And I think that could obviously hurt him.
Yep.
But if Khabib can just be the Khabib that first came out, that looks like an unstoppable force, man.
Tough to argue.
And Conor's, I mean, how much has he improved his submission defense in 2 years? He's a respectable martial artist. He's a great martial artist, but he hasn't been a martial artist that's been training for 2 years.
Yeah.
The first 6 months, I think, was just partying. Hey, I'm the champ, going on yachts. Then he became a father, a happy father, and he was kind of doing the interview circuit. And then he finally got around to, you know, boxing training for Floyd. So since then, and by the way, that's been a whole year.
Yep.
What has he done? If in that year he worked on just wrestling and immersed himself, then yeah, of course it's going to look better than the other times. But
I still don't care.
Don't know.
But even if you told me he spent all 2 years just working on that game, he still couldn't catch that guy. That's the thing. It's such a higher level.
Stop Khabib.
Yeah,
I agree.
You can't do it.
And
even
all it takes
2
is
years
one
was
round.
Just that.
And if Khabib does it the first round and fucking almost finishes him, then in the second round or third, maybe then he can maybe show off some hands and go for the TKO stoppage if he wants. But he cannot do it in round one if he doesn't at least. That's what he does is steal your soul. He yanks it out of your chest and just steals it.
Same thing the other way
around. If he only
around.
does it with a minute left and Conor does a little bit of survival, then I think he's got to replicate that a little bit more in round two. Only he's got a little bit less gas, but so does Conor McGregor. You know, so it's all how much he commits to just being the old Khabib, in my opinion.
Would this not be fair that even if we said Khabib, that's all he did for 2 years? Was train striking? I don't think he could catch Conor either. So I mean, maybe he has a better chance of it than I think Conor has of catching Khabib.
This is why I say it's an easier matchup, because the path is clear, and regardless of what side you are, Conor or Khabib, I think we all can agree on that, right? Conor's not going to catch up to the wrestling. Khabib's not going to catch up to the striking. Once Khabib gets going, it's hard to see Conor, come back. If you're going to make the ideal fighter to beat Conor McGregor, well, let's not strike with the guy who makes his money striking. You want to be the ideal fighter to beat a guy like Khabib Nurmagomedov. Well, why don't we get a guy who doesn't want to grapple and wants to counter guys coming in who want to grapple? They are the perfect matchup for each other, and I don't think anybody can deny that, no matter who you're picking. That's just a fact. So that's for that reason, I think that. And just one more thing. It's interesting because I don't see Conor he's not known for his gas tank. He was criticized of it, though. He did show in the second Nate fight that he could come back. That was kind of impressive, but he barely did. Keep himself in that fight. Barely got the scorecard, and that was striking within his realm. And we always hear fighters talk about that. Strikers can strike longer than they can grapple cardio-wise, even the ones that are in the best of shape. So I really don't like Conor's chances of getting down. And like George said, Khabib does steal your soul. But again, when you look at it, Johnson, granted, he was able to re-drown Johnson and get that finish. Johnson was able to find success after that first wave in the second round. Barboza, after 2 rounds of a beating, where everybody's he had the 1,000-mile stare, he was able to defend takedowns and strike with Khabib for a large portion of the third round, more than keep it standing more than any of the other rounds after taking that beating.
But I feel like Barboza is more further along in takedown defense and submission defense than Conor McGregor.
That's fine, but my focus here, I'm actually focusing on Khabib for this example, right? Because then we go into his next fight. Now, it's not grappling. He doesn't grapple with Iaquinta, but what does he do come about the third round again? he gets comfortable, and he even admits this, right? And his team's getting mad at him. So the point is, the focus is on Khabib. Is even if he is dominating, does he let up off the? You know what I'm saying? So there are interesting caveat. Now, do I side with Conor to come back up after getting beat for 2 rounds and knocking out Khabib? No. If Conor's getting grounded for 2 rounds, I would imagine Khabib's already going to win by that point. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not. But devil's advocate, I just thought I'd throw that out there. That is true.
Oh, you want to say something?
I want you to go back to that night and tell that story after we take this commercial break.
Okay. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on the New Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here George and goes.
NBA is your headquarters for all things basketball this summer. From free agency signings to trade rumors and social media gossip, whether it's happening on or off the court this offseason, we're discussing it on NBA Radio, Sirius 207 XM 86, and streaming on your phone or at home on Sirius connected devices and speakers. Let's take some calls, and then we'll come back to Khabib Conor talk. That's been kind of fun. We're doing a little early breakdown of what might happen. I don't know that we've officially given a prediction that we're going to stick with. I think I am. I don't think I'm going to budge from Khabib, but we'll see. But there I go. Once I get started, I won't shut up. So let me bring in the callers, and I want to come back to some points and then that thing that you reminded me about. So waiting the longest is Showtime from Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's yo time.
Hey, what's going on, fella?
Showtime.
Hey, I'm glad you guys were talking about the Khabib and his striking and all that. I'm gonna tell you what it kind of reminded me of. Kind of reminded me of when everybody was talking about how good Ronda was on her feet, how to strike. He's got to go for what he knows and try to get that fight to the ground ASAP. If not, he's going to get smoked. He's not going to even be close to that. You know, with his striking, is not even on a level to be trying to strike with Conor. But Khabib is stubborn, too. So he may try to do it just a little bit until he get clipped and then go for the wrestling. Let me ask you this. Do you guys think that Conor probably got his guy, the Danish guy in, working with him on his ground game? Or, you know, just I'm wondering who his training partners is. Has that got out any?
I would imagine that's always an aspect of it, but I would think more the wrestling part of it. Takedowns is probably what he's really pushing towards.
I mean, look at what Colby was able to do to Damian Maia. Mm-hmm. And Damian Maia is as dangerous as they get in mixed martial arts. I think that's what Khabib can do to Conor. And Khabib has got that vicious type of ground and pound. Some may say even more vicious than Colby. Others would say at least on that level or whatever. But Conor obviously is not Damian Maia. So and I don't think Conor, Dylan Dennis, or Damian Maia could stop that. You know, once he gets going, man, he's a threat.
Yeah, I'm just curious of who he has training with him. I'm just waiting for that to kind of pop out.
Well, it won't affect your belt. I mean, if you just want the answer to a trivia question, we can try and find out, or maybe follow him on social media. But I don't think that one's gonna matter too much, man.
Yeah, I follow him on social media. Also, it looked like he was training in between. You know, you guys were talking about that big period of time when he wasn't fighting, unless he was just posting a bunch of old pics. I follow him on social media, and he was showing some pics of him doing something. You know, and he was, you know, like he was training. So I don't know. Hopefully, he's been working.
Hopefully, he is. Man, I think his biggest fight within the fight itself, in other words, stopping the wrestling, stopping the ground and pound. I think Conor should worry more about on the feet. What's going to happen there? On the ground, I think maybe you obviously want to try and get up before you try any triangles or arm bars. I mean, you just want to get up from that and mitigate any of the damage that Khabib's going to throw your way. So figuring out how to do that, obviously that's one thing. But I think Conor needs to concentrate, I think, more on his footwork, wrist control, underhooks, and not even getting to the damn ground. You know, stopping that, keeping the fight upright as long as possible. So there's a bunch of fights within the fight that I think he needs to focus on.
Can I just weigh in real quick on what Showtime said about following Conor's on training? I've been looking at that too, and I try not to look too deeply into things. But what I get the impression of, I don't think he was like, doing all that training and stuff, like you said, George. You know, through that break, the layoff, whatever your opinion of it is real.
Yeah.
I don't think he was training throughout all of it. I don't think even if he was, he's going to catch up to Khabib for those scenarios. But what I do think was they was training at an appropriate time, reminding me ahead of time. I saw a lot of wrestling shoes, a lot of more wrestlers. He's always wearing wrestling shoes and a lot of the things, little subtle nods. I'm sure Conor's very aware of. And I like the guys that he works with. He's brought him in. I think it's Moldovan guy he's brought in for a minute. It's like their head coach over there at SBG. But I think it's more of a Tyron Woodley effect where he was getting ready ahead of time knowing that he was going to come at this date. Because maybe he knows what Ghost says. He knows why waste the time. We're already going to get a certain amount of numbers. We're only going to get a certain amount of numbers from Khabib. Pay-per-view wise, I'm not going to get into his head. That time I'm going to need to be training to knock this rust off anyway. So it'll probably hurt me more than it helps me. It helped me with Aldo, right? It maybe helped me with other guys to get into their head. It's not going to help me anyways. Let's get this guy when he's coming off of Ramadan. It's a time where he's traditionally struggled about whether it's booking or weight making, which he's had recent struggles with too. Let's get him then. I'm going to be ready. I'm already in camp. We've seen Woodley kind of master this approach recently, refine this approach, I should say. So does that mean he's going to win? No, of course not. But I think for whatever that's worth, I think it's a very smart approach by Conor.
Okay. Let's go to Marco in Waco. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, dude?
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
Chilling. So, man, I so much to unpack here. When it comes to the fight itself, I know I haven't made up my mind yet. I'm playing devil's advocate for Conor. Every single guy he has ever faced, he either knocked down or dropped with his freaking left hand, dude. So something that freaking Khabib had to look for, Doesn't mean that he's going to get finished, but that thing is always there with Conor McGregor. And when it comes to the numbers, the 2 million mark, I doubt they're going to make 2 million. I'll go more in the neighborhood of 1.7. I think they do break the record, but they don't get quite to 2 million. But I think they're banking on the Northeast Russian, pressing there a little bit to bump the number up. And then, of course, the return of Conor McGregor. In October, we're going to be 2 months away from the ESPN deal, so ESPN is going to do a big push for the fight, just to get on the good graces of the UFC. They're going to do the car wash with Conor, all the freaking first take and all that crap. And, of course, we're going to see Conor on the Jimmy Kimmel, see Conor O'Brien. So that's what I think they're banking on, that big return of Conor McGregor to MMA. That's what I think they're thinking, 2 million, but I'm more probably 1.7 on my mind. Peace out, dudes.
Okay, thank you.
1.0?
I thought
1.7.
1.7.
Yeah, okay, 1.7. Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll see. I don't know. It'll still be under the Fox era. I'm sure some of the things he was saying make sense, but I wonder if Fox will want to close strong or if they're just more worried about SmackDown's coming to their channel, right?
I wanted to do a daily debate for tomorrow. I'll give you a preview. I should have asked Marco this, but I just want to know what you guys think. We know what the price point is to buy that fight, but what's the price point for you not to watch the fight? 50, 100, 200.
When can I watch
300.
it? Yeah.
Let's say you gotta wait
a week.
48 hours.
See, there's a lot of dummies out there that'll wait the 48 hours.
Yeah, but
and then do they get to watch it for free then, or?
I guess, yeah.
Make it a week. I think it'll be easier.
Make it a week?
Yeah, a week.
Okay.
So to not watch the fight for a week, and that means I can't even host because otherwise I'd find out the result.
You just kind of go. You still gotta. It's not like you can go on an island or something like that. You just have to avoid stuff. So how much do they have to give you to do that? I'm just kind of curious. Like on Fight Night, how much just to miss it, just not be a part of it. If I handed you,
give me $500.
500?
Yeah.
So if I handed you 200 and said, do something else.
Well, I was just picturing once you said the whole Fight Night thing, like it's that night.
There's a lot.
And we're at home or we're here, and then you just go, "Here's $500. Get out of here." I'd probably go, "All right," because I think I already know the result. So I'd go, "All right."
Yeah.
I'd wait about 25 minutes. You guys text me and go, "Come back in," and then I walk in, and I have a feeling I'd start out by going, "I told you,"
It's funny. It should be.
Let's do that one. Let's do that one.
Pretend it doesn't have to do, like, you don't have to do work.
Let's do that one. Okay. You're at our house, all right? Or we're here, and we're watching it here, Sportscast or whatever.
Shit.
But right before it happens, what can someone give you? And they go, you can't watch it. But then you got to come in once it's all over, and there's hooting and hollering going on or whatever. You couldn't watch it.
That scenario, I would move my first answer, which was going to be about $500 for you. I'll move it up to $800 for that scenario.
Oh, right then and there.
Yeah, because I've already made my plans. I've already probably brought something for the party. You know, I'm ready to watch the fight. Like, I've gotten my hopes up at this point. You know what I'm saying? That adds on a couple hundred there.
We only came up with 700. Will you take 700?
And I'm forgetting about working the scenario. I'll take 700.
700.
But the funny thing,
anybody that'll take 700 will certainly take 5.
Although the funny thing was, my price was going to be higher if I was answering as like Dan Tom as a fan not working in the media,
right?
Whereas Dan Tom working in the media would go for cheaper, which makes no sense because Dan Tom working in the media would affect your job. You have to recap it. You're
Here's what happens. So
more like a dodo bird.
We're sitting here. This is Saturday night, and we go, all right, here we go. Buffer is now introducing them both. So we're sitting here and we're watching it, and then that's when goes the night.
Rounds and stuff.
Yeah, we've been drinking, we're having a great time, and that's when we go. Here's 500. You have to walk in that next room. All right, we'll say it's soundproof, and you can't even see. Can he see our reactions? Maybe he can, right?
Yeah, you can see our reactions. You just don't know what we're cheering for.
Well, that's how I'm gonna know. I'm gonna know who picked who, and like, okay, that guy's cheering hard. His guy won.
All right, so you can go in there whether it's closed or not, and then when you come back in, you can immediately just rewind and watch it then in time for work. It won't affect your work because come Monday, you can talk about it.
Yeah, 500. I'll do 500.
Just for that moment, we steal the live moment from you. 500.
Yeah,
I think that's about the right number, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good number. I was thinking. At first, I was thinking about 700, but I think you're right. I think 500 is like probably the sweet spot.
How about you, Danny?
It would suck,
Sweet
though.
spot.
It would suck.
I know.
Danny?
I have to watch all your reactions, or I get to watch all your reactions?
Yeah, or you
Before
just stare in another direction, but you know nothing. You can't see anything.
Nothing?
Yeah.
I mean, I probably do it for
20?
5. Yeah.
25?
25.
You're that hardcore of a fan?
Well, we're getting into fighters that I've actually been working during their rise in their careers. So it's like, it's a little bit more interesting.
500, okay.
I feel like if we gave him 400, he'd say,
oh, fuck yeah. I'll do it for like 25 bucks.
25
I would not do it for 25 bucks. For 25 bucks, I'm not doing it.
Huh. All right, I guess I had it wrong. Let's take the last break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel A3. Stay close. We'll be right back, and I'll check out YouTube if you want to give us your number of what it would take to miss the fight, the immediate fight at that moment, but you can walk back into the room once it's over. Simon Savano, huh?
Oh, yeah.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
SiriusXM's The Highway and Ram Trucks have your chance to win an all-new Ram 1500. White boys are going crazy right now. One grand prize winner will drive off in a new Ram 1500 equipped with the best radio on the road and SiriusXM 360L. It's the newest, most amazing way to experience SiriusXM. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/Ram before September 19th. Online entries only. Certain eligibility restrictions apply. See official rules. That's it. See official rule. What is that? What kind of a sentence is that? No purchase is necessary to enter or to win.
Of all the junkies in Junkie Nation, who's the one guy that you feel right now is typing to try and win that?
Ford.
I was going to say the same guy. Yeah.
That's funny.
I was thinking maybe like Oklahoma Knowles.
He'd be
Maybe
he's a
Dwayne.
good number 2. Oh, yeah. Maybe I should have said Dwayne.
But I feel like Jason Ford's the guy.
Yeah. What if it was a... let's just cover all the races. That way we're covered. What if it was an Impala?
And Impala, the Sanchez
Ray?
brothers.
Oh, yeah, the Sanchez brothers. Sanchez brothers is a good one.
Ray.
What if it was a Lincoln Navigator?
A Lincoln Navigator.
Showtime,
Kendra,
Larone.
I think.
Kendra?
Yeah, big family. She's got the twins.
I vote
But the African
And the
Americans,
kids.
the blacks like the Navigator specifically.
Blacks like
Yeah.
the Navigator. Get that drop, Danny.
I would say
Jesus.
I got it.
Okay, got it.
there's a car. Remember the Injakwani brothers scared us to hell? Whatever that car was. They love Chargers. Chargers and what's the other one?
I just remember when Disney Pixar came out. I'm like, oh, this is potentially could be the most racist Pixar movie ever.
Really?
Like, I remember when it came out because my head just
Challenger.
twists everything. I'm like, what are they gonna? Like, kind of like where you're going with this, George. You know, like, what are they gonna? They're gonna make the Mexican guy the lowrider. Like, where are they gonna go with this? You know what I'm saying? How far are they gonna take this? And
What about Asians?
it's what?
Mitsubishi Eclipse?
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
It's got a lot of speed, too, right?
This car. I see a lot of brothers in this car.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I start asking callers what they drive when they call in.
All that.
Hey, Wanley, what are you driving? You know, just start asking all.
I don't know what
callers.
Juan Lee drives, and he came to our house many times. Did you ever walk him out, or
Yeah.
Can I guess?
He gave me. Yeah.
Toyota.
Okay. Well, this
Sorry.
is 2007.
Okay.
So I'm gonna guess at the 2007 Juan Lee. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Toyota Camry.
I think it was. That was either that or a Corolla. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. I love it.
All right. A couple things here. Khabib. I want to go back to Khabib and then remind me about that thing from the Ferguson fight. Khabib. We got Derrick Lewis coming up here in a few minutes too. I should send him a text to remind him.
That's
Khabib
right.
Nurmagomedov. One thing he doesn't need to consume himself with, and that's punishing him for 25 minutes. Don't do that.
Yeah.
All right. And also, I think it would be. I think it'd be more gangster to finish him early, and I don't care if it's via ground and pound or submission. But the longer you go with that dude, with the kind of power he has, the more trouble you could be in. Even though I believe Khabib's got the better conditioning, and he may feel like that's what he wants to do. I think it's just more opportunities in which you can get cut.
I don't think it's more gangster. I think it's more dangerous.
You think it's more gangster to finish someone early?
No. Because
Conor
then people
disposing
just go,
of all
oh,
the-
he
got
caught,
lucky?
He caught me. He got lucky.
Well, but with
if you
ground
do it
and
over
pound, if it's
5
like
rounds,
50
you go, that's
elbows.
ass kicking. But you're right. It's don't do it. It's more dangerous.
If it's a one-time shot, yeah, oh, he got lucky. But if it's just like you took him down and you elbowed him to death,
Yeah.
At the start of
Yeah.
round 5, and you hold up your fingers like that, and you just go.
That would be
That's
so
Way
gangster.
more gangster.
That would be
yeah,
gangster if you did
maybe. Okay, that's a good daily debate. What was more gangster, the way Cody beat Dominic, or the way the other one? We'll be right back.
Las Vegas turning day into night, time turning night into day.
to get down. I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to rock a microphone because I get stupid. I mean outrageous. Stay away from me. It's because is what the ladies love me, girl on me. I mean even the one on me like the way that I don't know. So let's go, Carl.
All right, let's get the second hour started. At UFC 229.
Cold yesterday.
All right, can you got us?
Yeah.
We'll give you that, but can you hand the phone to Derrick?
Yeah.
All right.
Hello.
What's up?
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
There you go. There's Derrick. Something?
Ate too much mayo in my mouth. Made me sound like Caucasian.
How you been?
I'm alright. How you doing?
We're doing great. I was really, really happy when I on the Junkie about camp and a fight. So really excited as for that. Can you take us through after UFC 226 when your back wasn't feeling good up until the time your back was feeling good? I think you had about 3 weeks to a month. What was the process of getting you healthy?
We was calling around and making sure we was trying to find like a specialist. We didn't want just any kind of doctor working on my back. We was looking for like a special doctor that specialized in back. And we found one. And it's the same guy that worked on Tracy McGrady and Tiger Woods and stuff like that. He helped those guys out with their careers. And what they did to me was they shot me like 20 times in one spot in my same trouble area with needles, like back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sore for like 3 days, and after that, it's like brand new.
Wow.
I got me feeling like really good, yeah.
And Derrick, you've tested it 100% in camp, or are you taking it slow?
I 100% yesterday. You know, I was just taking it slow last week, but I really turned it up yesterday, and it was feeling real good.
So how did that make you feel? I mean, you must be ecstatic, like a new lease on life. Like,
oh yeah,
career's been reborn. Tell us what you're feeling.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I just feel like if I would have did this a couple of years ago, I would have been champion. Mm-hmm. You know, I believe that I would have dominated a lot of my fights. You know, and just to say that I've been winning with this type of injury that I've been dealing with, it's just a blessing, you know. And now that hopefully the fans really see my full potential in this next fight right here, because I can really constantly train all day long now, not worry about my back hurting at all. You know, before I had to train for a little bit, then had to rest because my back would flare up, and wait till it goes down. I'll try to rub it out. And now I don't have to worry about that no more. I could just go full 15 minutes or full 25-minute round without it hurting.
Wow, that's amazing. And we're talking to Derrick Lewis, UFC heavyweight, who's going to be fighting Alexander Volkov at UFC 229. That's exciting news to hear about your back. Will you need to see this back specialist throughout the camp, or once his work was done, he released you for good?
I got to go back this Friday, just for a checkup.
Okay.
And for him to really release me. So I'm going to go this Friday.
Wow. Can you give me like a technique that is now way easier for you to do? Or can you share something that how you've been able to push yourself in this camp that you weren't in previous camps just because of this?
Throw a right hand without it hurting. Like really turn my hips now and throw a punch. So at first, whenever I used to throw my right, and it just used to flare up even more. And that's the reason why you've been seeing me throw a lot of kicks in the fights where my back is really hurting the most. It's easier for me to throw kicks than to throw my right.
Jesus Christ, I've seen Derrick punch a machine and almost break the machine. And that was with a bad back. I can only imagine what the hell might happen. You might knock over the machine.
That was kind of odd, huh? Where when he was doing that, you were actually scared for the machine?
I was.
Never happened, huh?
Yeah.
Machine.
Yeah, because I know y'all would have to pay for it if I break it.
Yeah.
Y'all.
It's kind of going through our heads when we were doing that.
Hey, Derrick, that video, since we're being a little bit more open here, that video at the time you weren't participating, and then I guess maybe you decided to give them kids a little show, and you decided to. I actually caught one of those on film. You mind if I put it out there?
Yeah, you can send it to me first.
All right, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. You can decide.
Because you also know I was coming off an injury when I broke my hand.
I remember that. It was his hand and his back, and he fucked that thing up, dude. I remember going, wow. But I also remember that day going, hey, Derrick, can I do this? And he said, yeah. Because at first you weren't too sure if you wanted to, and I know you had the hand, but I'll send it to you. You can decide what you want to do. But folks, let me tell you something, man. Like when I've shown it to my buddy Big Ralph, I just go, can you imagine being on the other end of that? Like,
well, you were filming from that side, right? So you were seeing him coming right towards you. Like if he wanted to, he could have blasted you.
He just clears so much distance. He's like 6'4", and then by the time, like when you see it in slow motion, when you see it just hit the bag, the speed bag or whatever's hanging there, you see how much ground they cover. I mean, that's a lot of power, my man. And we've seen him do the one on Fox, but I thought the one I had kind of just looks and sounds better. But I'll send it to you, Derrick. All right, let me turn it over to Goes here. Goes, what do you have for Derrick Lewis?
Derrick, early on when this matchup was kind of presented via social media, he had kind of hinted, hey, why don't we do this in Russia? And you had a very funny response to that. But I also thought, you know what, money talks. What would it have taken to get you to go to Russia and fight him over there?
Yeah, money. Yeah, if they would offer me more money, that's the only way I would have went over there. But other than that, I wasn't going to go.
Would it have to be a lot more, or were they in the ballpark?
In the ballpark. That's about it. No, I wouldn't try to do them like that. But I also heard yesterday that the UFC is now worth $7 billion.
There you go.
What was your immediate reaction when you read that on your MMA Junkie app on your phone?
I was trying to add up how much I was getting paid compared to how much they was worth, and I was like, damn, we all getting fucked.
Derrick, when I think of your career, you've always been really honest with us, and you know, talking about the titles. You just want to make money, and there's other things that come with mixed martial arts, and you've already kind of addressed the title. But I had thought about that opportunity, maybe going to Russia. A lot of people like that whole Rocky IV moment. Ultimate Fighter seems like it's going to stick around a little bit more. I know a lot of people talk about before retiring wanting to be a coach on one of those shows. Is there anything else outside of money and outside of the title that you still kind of hope at some point you do get to cross?
Well, not at all. You know, I'm not even worried about myself. I'm just worrying about my kids. As long as I be able to provide for my family, that's all I'm worrying about. I don't care about fighting for the title, nothing like that. You know, I'm just living life. I'm happy with my life the way it is right now. You know, I'm comfortable.
Do they ever bring up anything like that? Daddy, I hope one day when you become a coach or something?
No, they don't care about that. All they worry about is roadblocks, and that's the name of some toy, roadblocks. They worry about that or some tablets and iPads and stuff like that.
Has Daddy ever stepped on a
They don't worry about my career. Yeah, of course. I did it 3 times already in the last 6 years.
That shit hurts, man.
Yeah.
All right, Dan Tom, our fight analyst. What do you have for Derrick Lewis?
Hey, Derrick. So with the back talk, you know, we talked on the show here before about your diet and whatnot. Now, since you're able to work harder and, you know, put more output out, does that mean you get to eat more? Is that another positive side? Or are you trying to, like we talked about before, trying to get your weight back down to where you were in your earlier career when we talked about, like, your fights with, like, guys like Raheem Cleveland? If you go back and watch those where you got that sweet armbar, by the way, it was a much slimmer Derrick Lewis. What's the target weight here, Derrick?
My target weight right now is 260. You know, if I can get under 260, that'd be great. But right now, my target weight is 260.
Do you think you'll be feeling some of those benefits though by being able to work out harder? Maybe you'll actually be able to feel yourself a little more too, or is that you just keeping all the diet, all that stuff the same?
No, since I'm be able to work out harder, I'm just hopefully that the weight just come off by itself. Most of it is just water weight. Just hopefully, like since my back not hurting no more, hopefully I can really push myself and just work off this water weight.
Derrick, we told you this after your last fight. We felt like, I know you were down on yourself, but I told you, hey man, I think you built a lot of equity with your fans, with MMA fans, with the organization. Of your 20 wins, you had 17 KOs. I mean, you've had highlights left and right. So now that we're a few months removed from that, was that something that was still kind of hard to stomach, or are you completely past that, and do you feel like there's nothing to prove on October 6th in regards to the July fight, and it's just about you and Volkov?
No, to me, it feels weird. That was like a weird win, and I didn't expect nothing like that to happen. And it still bothers me. It's not so much as the fans, because they wishy-washy anyway. I don't give a damn about that. I just feel like, for myself, to get peace to myself and peace of mind and this and that, I believe that I could have really performed better than what I did. And I know my body more than anyone else does, and I know I was 100%. And if I was 100%, it would have been a lot better. On my part, I would have did a lot better. So, I still take most of the blame on it was my fault anyway. But this fight right here, the next one, I believe I should do a lot better than what I did last time out.
Mm-hmm. Does being on this card, that's going to be the biggest card of the year, is that in any way like special to you to be a part of that, or do you not care? And this one has a target of maybe 2 million pay-per-views, and the town's going to be really, really buzzing, like kind of like the old Floyd Mayweather type fights, or even before him, Oscar De La Hoya. That's the type of star that Conor McGregor's become. So is it pretty cool to be a part of that, or not?
Not at all. Not even 1%. Because I'm not getting paid extra. I'm not getting none of that pay-per-view sales or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't give a damn.
Okay.
If they were paying me different, then I'll be excited. I'll be trying to push the fight even more, but I'm not getting paid for it, so I'm not worried about trying to make sure everybody come out and watch the fight. I don't give a damn.
Does his antics at least make you just chuckle? Sometimes when I watch a dais, like, everybody that's sitting there at these press conferences and Conor's there and he's taking it over, some are sitting there and they're kind of pissed, like they can't stand the guy. Others are chuckling just because he's funny, whether it's the outfits he comes in or the things that he says. Have you ever established an opinion on the guy at all?
Yeah, I'm always laughing at him. It's because of his accent.
Mm-hmm.
He don't pronounce his words right, so I'm always laughing at him. What he says, it's just funny to me.
Who do you think will win that fight, by the way? Do you have an early prediction on Khabib and Conor?
I don't know. It's crazy fight right there. You would think Khabib will win because he's been more active than the Conor.
Mm-hmm.
But Conor, he still got that left hand. It's in lanes. You never really seen Khabib rock or even hurt. So I believe if Khabib will take him down, he would try to wear Conor out like that. But I don't know. It could go either way. Either way. I wouldn't put my money on it.
One last thing. Do you have anything else, Coz? No. Oh, okay. One last thing here before we let you go. I saw Tyson Fury box. I think you could beat him. I don't want to put you in a 12-round matchup or anything, but I think for 4 rounds, I think Derrick Lewis could knock out Tyson Fury. Have you ever?
Tyson Fury?
Oh, well, there you go. He's one of the champions.
No, I'm serious.
Who is Tyson Fury?
He's a boxer?
Yeah, he's a boxer.
Oh, I don't watch boxing, man.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Well, they got a real legit champion in Anthony Joshua. He's really skilled, and we have an American named Deontay Wilder. I think he's from your neck of the woods. I think he's from Louisiana. Oh, no, he's from Alabama. Excuse me. But there's one guy that wears belts, and if I'm not mistaken, Tyson Fury, and I was like, Derrick Lewis could knock him out.
Put it in terms of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Deontay Wilder would be like Super Macho Man, and then I would say Tyson Fury is like the first bald bull.
Yeah, I seen Deontay Wilder. I seen him on ESPN. That's the only reason why I know who he is. But seeing the highlights of him, he swing wild.
Yeah, before your combat sports career is over, I'd like to see you box one time.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, like an exhibition or whatever.
Yeah, just go ahead and raise over $1 million. And that's it.
What's my cut?
Oh, you get 1%.
That's 10,000. I was hoping you'd say 10.
Well, that's a little more than what you get paid now. Sure, at all.
How do you know that, Derrick Lewis?
Damn, you think I make $10,000 a year?
Well, hey man, I just thought y'all was doing it just because y'all love it. I didn't know y'all was getting paid.
Well, we definitely made more than $10,000 a year.
What is
I
it?
need to come join y'all show then.
First he's got the coach trying to pretend he's him. Now he's clowning our salary. What do we do to this guy?
I don't know.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
All right,
y'all
Derrick.
hide it well.
When he comes here, we make sure he has donuts and
I know,
right?
we couldn't have treated this guy any better. Yeah. I feel like one of those.
Yeah, I waited 30 minutes for them donuts too. Don't worry about it.
I feel like one of those tag team champions where they both raise their arm. They just won the tag team, and then the bad guy clotheslines the other guy, and all of a sudden there's a rivalry. Derrick, are you going to be too busy on fight week to stroll in here for 10 minutes and joke around with us, or are you kind of like at that high level now where you just want to stay in the hotel room and we shouldn't even bother?
I'm always in the hotel room and don't want to be bothered. But yeah, I'll come by as long as I have free food over there.
No, we got to get you to 260. We can't be doing that. Are you going to be walking around at 260
vegan.
or cutting to 260?
I'll be walking around at 260.
Damn.
You know, I'm a vegan now, so hopefully I have some vegan food there. I don't want donuts or nothing like that.
He's bullshit. He ain't a vegan. He ain't a vegan. Yeah, I know that for a fact. All right. All right, buddy.
I got hungry just saying that.
Really happy that you're 100% healthy. Can't wait to see the results. I want you to have a safe camp, safe travels to Vegas, and we'll see you in about 6 weeks.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care, Derrick. See ya. Not a nicer guy in the organization than that dude, man. That dude's cool.
Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah.
Send him that video and see if you can post it.
Yeah. He smashes that machine, man. And that's again with a bad back and with the broken hand. He was just recovering from that. This was before Ngannou. This was when goes. Well, look at it right here. It was after Tabora. It was after Tabora. Look at what he did. Fans, you know, they really can be fickle. He knocked out Tabora, knocked out Brown, knocked out Shamil Abdurakhimov.
Nice.
Roy Nelson did go to a split, knocked out Gonzaga, knocked out Grabowski, Potts, Pesta, and even the ones where he hasn't, when he hasn't won, someone's taken him out. Like, his fights deliver. But he really got crapped on with this Ngannou fight, and I think at some point you gotta, like I say, you build up enough equity where I think a fan can tap the brakes a little bit, right?
Yeah. Look, man, I love me some Derrick Lewis. But you can have as much equity as you want. That was hard to sit through for 3 rounds.
Yes, right.
If had it been like 1 round, all right, that's
so Derrick Lewis should be a man enough that if us 3 are talking and he walks by and overhears us, he shouldn't be mad if we go, ooh, that was a terrible fight. That wasn't a good fight.
Right.
Right? But at the same time, I think he should be mad at us if we go, Derrick's a bum. Did you see his last fight?
Oh, yeah.
That's not fair.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Because he is one of these, on this planet Earth, he's the 6th best guy according to our websites. And on the UFC, he might even be higher. But think about this whole planet, how special these guys are, what they do, you know, to be one of the top guys on the planet that does this. And we don't know that there's life on these other planets. So in our galaxy, he's the 6th best at that weight class. But, man, he's right. Sometimes fans be clowning. All right, we got Bobby Moffatt coming up in a bit. So let's get one break out of the way. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on the new Fight Nation Channel 93. 3. We still have some quality with Randy. We got MMA Tonight with R.J. Clifford, Misha Tate, Sean O'Connell, A.J. Hawk. They come on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Wednesdays. Wednesdays was Misha, and then the other days are with A.J. and R.J. Then we have the Luke Thomas Show Monday through Friday. Him and the King of Banter, Russo. Did you meet Russo when he was here?
Yeah.
Okay. Had you met him before? Oh, you had in person?
One time.
Okay. And then we have yesterday's guest, Dave LaGreca. Him and Bully Ray and Mark Henry. They have a quality show open. It's about pro wrestling. So throughout the day, you'll really, really get quality content. Stay close. We'll be right back.
They were kicked off the set of The Fast and the Furious for being too loud and too good looking. Once again, here's Gorgeous George and Goes.
It's fantasy football season, and Fantasy Sports Radio is helping you draft the winning team. Here the experts analyze NFL training camps and preseason games from the fantasy football perspective, learn winning strategies, and find out which players you need to have on your team. Be the most prepared player at your fantasy football draft with Fantasy Sports Radio, Series 210, XM87, and streaming on your phone or at home with connected devices and speakers. All right, it is time for the daily debate. These questions come 90% of the time courtesy of the Goes. Shout out to the Goes.
I'm the Goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And today's question is, when Tony Ferguson returns from injury, and by the way, guys, he did state while we were on vacation that he's ready to go. He's 100. So this question is very, very valid and appropriate. Whom should his opponent be? The Conor and Khabib winner or the Poirier and Diaz winner? Dan, Tom, go.
I would like to say the Conor and Khabib winner. The problem is I feel like there's this guy, this Canadian guy, that's just like he's sniping with a big rifle, and he's waiting to see the winner, and he's already got his sights lined up. Where Ferguson may have his sights lined up, but he still has an injury to come back from. I would say probably the more likely of the two would be Poirier Diaz winner would be my vote for. That would probably be the next.
How about you guys?
Poirier Diaz, but it's only because I cannot hear the last names Nurmagomedov and Ferguson in the same sentence. At least I need about a 3-year buffer before I can even hear those names put together again.
But by then there'll be 2 other
maybe
lightweights you want to see.
I don't know, man.
All right.
I just how do you put people through that again?
I understand. However, before he left, he was the interim champion, so he never really lost that belt. And Khabib had to fight somebody that night. He fought Ally Aquinta, so that's the belt he won. He didn't even get the moment of beating the incumbent. Conor had been stripped by then. But something tells me it's got to be the winner of Khabib and Conor. Yeah, you're right. We'll sit there, oh, man, this again, Ferguson versus Khabib. We've been through that 4 times, and I think that's the actual number. But I think that's the right move. Now, the winner of Poirier-Diaz might actually have an argument in terms of, hey, it should be us and not Ferguson for Khabib-Conor. That's what they'd be saying to me if they were standing here. But I think after Khabib and Conor fight, GSP is a possibility, Dan. But, God, every time Dana is asked about it, he seems to shoot that one down. I think he's got a bitter taste over him giving GSP the opportunity to fight at middleweight and then him just leaving. And I don't think he wants to run into this. But GSP's a player. If Conor loses, I think those two can be matched up.
Yeah.
If Diaz also loses. But if Diaz wins, how do you get away from Diaz and Conor 3? But the question was, who should Tony Ferguson fight when he returns? And they want to go with the Poirier-Diaz winner. I want to go with Khabib-Conor. Here's how the votes came in. Almost 1,500 votes came in. 58 said Khabib and Conor. 42, Poirier and Diaz.
So it's close.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty close, yeah. That's our daily debate, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. All right, we are going to be talking to one of the winners of the Dana White Contender Series. They finished up while we were on vacation, and they now have 2 seasons in the bank, 16 episodes, and I certainly hope they don't wait till next year, till June, to run it again. Dana White, after season 1, said we may be doing this a lot sooner than we thought, rather than waiting a year, but they did make us wait a year. Things are going to be a little different going forward. They're not going to do it at the Tough Gym. I believe Tough 28 or 29 or whatever they're on, I think that one's finishing up its filming. And they did Contender Series for Brazil, which you will be able to see on the Fight Pass pretty soon as well. Those 3 episodes have already been filmed. And I believe that was it. After that, they were bouncing from that Tough Gym. But they're building a new little venue on some property that they bought over at the UFC PI. So I think it'll just be like a little fancier. You know what it'll remind me of, Goes? Do you remember the old NWA on TNT or on TBS?
Yeah.
Remember, it just seemed like something similar to what we sat in for Contender Series, but it was really, really dark. Maybe 200 fans, and that's where they do their live taping.
I think of Glow Wrestling. Reminds me of that.
Yeah, I think they'll build themselves a cozy little venue. It won't be anything that's too big, but yet big enough to grow in, and
just have more security there.
It'll be different, and I just hope they do it twice a year because it's really, really fun. All right, joining us now on the hotline is Bobby Moffatt. What's up, Bobby? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Good. Congratulations on being one of the final winners of Season 2. There was 3 that week. You were one of them.
Yeah.
And
you.
It's very interesting because unlike your other fights, there's 2 things. There's 2 parts to this. Win, and then you got to sit around. That's the reality show part of it, and wait to be chosen, So first of all, tell me about how great that felt to go in there, get the win, get the finish. And then the second part, when you're sitting in that kitchen with the others, wondering if you get to advance and be, win a contract. What was that like?
Yeah, the finish, the fight went amazing. I felt great after that. I really I came there just to win. I mean, obviously you got to get a finish and stuff, or just an amazing back and forth battle to kind of get picked. But it just felt great to get in there and get the win. And then waiting, I was a little nervous. It's kind of like it's similar feeling to like waiting for a fight. You're kind of like just like what's going to happen? And I was a little nervous because the first fight before me had finished pretty much the same way. There was a second round darts. This wasn't as like a dominating fight, but it was kind of back and forth and stuff. So they gave out full contracts the week before, so I thought, I have a good chance of getting full contracts because Dan Hardy, Greg Hardy, not Dan Hardy. Greg Hardy already has his UFC thing, so I thought it was a good chance. And then they picked me. I thought so. I was really happy.
As you were saying that, he's right. Because I've been in the locker room and I've seen the faces that the fighters have, those nerves as they're taping your hand or you're doing the final warm-up before you go out to fight.
Yeah.
The fighter's in a zone. And I've also been in the kitchen when the fighters are awaiting that final verdict, if Dana White's going to choose them. So it's true. Like, the emotions of the fighters having to go through, the nerves of, okay, getting ready for the fight, sitting down. Well, this will be a separate question, but
yeah,
you're fighting in front of about 100 people, but one of them is Dana White.
Yeah.
Then you win, and then you've seen others perform before you and after you, and you get the finish, and then you got to go around and do that whole set of nerves again. That's a trip.
Yeah,
that is a trip.
It was. It was a great experience. I loved every bit of it, but it was nerve-wracking a little bit sometimes.
So my second question is, are you more nervous fighting in front of 100 people, knowing that one of them is Dana White and the other 2 are Maynard and Shelby, or fighting in the other shows where you've had at least a few grand in the arena?
It was kind of weird. It felt like I had more nerves fighting just like my fights before I fought in front of Dana White. Because I was on that Looking for a Fight episode, and then I got on the Contender Series, and those 2 fights have been my best, like, emotionally, mentally feeling fights that I've ever had. Like, I didn't have any doubt in my mind that I was going to go out there and win the fight. It didn't matter who they kind of put in front of me, So I think it was a little bit more nerve-wracking fighting this in front of a bunch of locals and stuff than it was to fight in front of Dana White.
I think I remember seeing you fight at RFA against Parcells. Was a title fight, right?
Yeah, we talked. I think we talked after that.
Yeah. Had you won that, and a lot of times the winners of title fights get put into the UFC, that would have been June of 2016. You think you would have been ready for the UFC then, or is it better that it worked out this way, where you gained more experience and possibly a little bit more notoriety, and now you're ready to tackle your UFC career?
Yeah, I think I believe everything kind of happens for a reason. You know, I think if I would have won that fight, I would have had to defend the belt, and who knows what happens in that fight? You could get injured, or injured even just training for a certain fight. So I think the fact that just the goal was getting to the UFC, and now it's to go beyond that and be the best fighter I can be, then I think I would prefer everything to have happened the way that it did than to have won that fight and things gone a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm. All right, Bobby Moffatt, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Dan, Tom, our fight analyst, what do you have for Bobby Moffatt?
Hey, Bobby. First off, obviously, congratulations on the fight. I was actually, it was actually my birthday that night. I was actually off, but I still made it a point to pull it up on my phone at the bar I was at and watched your fight. And I was pretty.
Happy belated birthday!
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And I co-sign with George, or should say co-sign with what you were saying about not being nervous about getting the contract. I felt like you were, especially with how the season was going, you were one of the more sure shots to get in there. But it was more your composure just during the fight, and even just watching, from the highlight reels, your submission games, everything was really smooth. Like you were very well prepared for this. Can you tell me who you're working with for your ground game? And obviously that may lead that answer may lead you to the MMA lab. Do you think the MMA lab in general was able to help you, and who, if anybody in particular, has been helping you along the way?
Well, I mean, I started my jiu-jitsu journey in 2009 with the instructor who gave me my black belt. His name is Leo Valdez. I had him back home. Me and him kind of like butted heads a little bit, and I went to the MMA lab full time, and then I've just been working with John Crouch, and then every time I'm rolling with the guys like Ben Henderson and Taquino, it's just like you get to see a whole nother level of grappling when you're going with these people, and you just start getting better. The more consistently I train with those people, the better I get. So that's kind of how I feel about that journey. I mean, obviously, I trained for, I think it took me 7 years to get my black belt, and that was all with my coach that I said, Leo, and our other head coach, Rodrigo Medeiros. He was a big guy, a world champion, and he's in Chicago now, and we're training with him too. So those are all the kind of people that I got to learn jiu-jitsu from in the beginning, and now still with John Crouch and Ben and all those guys. So it's been a really fun grappling journey for me, I think. So great.
That's awesome here. I got to imagine, that definitely helped prepare you. But let me ask you, did that connection come around? Maybe your Dan Moret fight. You beat a guy named Dan Moret who's currently in the UFC, and he's affiliated with the MMA lab. Is that where, kind of fill in the blanks here, is that where you guys maybe met or where you met John Crouch and that relationship formed?
Oh no, Dan wasn't training at the lab yet, and neither was I. I got the hookup with John Crouch through my manager. My manager was like, "Hey, I really think the MMA lab would be a great fit for you. I think they've got the stuff that you need to, become a champion." So he told me it'd be a good fit, and I was like, you know what? I've never really done it. I've never really gone out of town and stayed and I never went anywhere for college. So I was like, I'll go out there for a month and see how I feel. And like the first almost day I was there, it felt like Crouch and I just like hit it off. Like he's just a great person overall, and then he knows all this stuff about fighting and tactics and it was just
and jiu-jitsu. He knows a lot about that.
And jiu-jitsu, of course.
Yeah. Bobby Moffatt, the Wolfman, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. 13-3 overall. 9 of those fights have been finishes, and the most important one was about 2 weeks ago at Dana White Contender Series, Season 2, Episode 8, or Episode 16, if you want to call it that. It was a submission win over Jacob Kilburn. He's now a member of the UFC's featherweight stable, which is my favorite division. If I haven't announced that, my newest favorite division now is the UFC featherweight division. It is so deep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent there. All right. Goes, what do you have for the Wolfman?
Bobby, when George mentioned it was episode 16, which means a lot of people now have seen this. They saw season 1, they saw most of season 2. So a lot of people have been through Dana White's Contender Series and just experienced how different it can be. Was there anybody that was able to give you a piece of advice going in that really nailed it with what they said?
I mean, I asked a few people if they had how it kind of went. You know, we have Shug and Kyler and T that all fought on Contender Series, so our team had some experience going there. And then my manager had quite a few guys fight on the Contender Series too. So I had a lot of people being able to tell me like, hey, you know, the fights come up real quick, but there was nothing specific anyone said that like mentally sharpened me. You know, I kind of I felt the same way about the Contender Series fight as I did about looking for a fight. It was just like the most exciting and thing I could do. I just felt like it was my moment, you know.
Sitting in the kitchen with the other guys, can you maybe share the conversations that happened between you guys, and if any of their conversations made you feel more at ease, or did it give you more anxiety?
I think I got in the kitchen like real late, because I think right when I got there he announced it. But who's the lightweight that won on that show and got the contract? That dude. He was a pretty good fight. He's a good fighter. He got the contract, and he was talking to me about like hearing me howl before one of the pictures we were doing the week that we showed up, and it was just kind of like funny, and we were just talking about that. And then it kind of puts you at ease, like when you and your fellow fighters are kind of just like talking about stuff like these are people you don't even train with, but you feel like you're connected with them just because you do this crazy sport they call MMA. So it was nice. It kind of put me at ease a little bit more.
There you have it. All right. Well, Bobby, sorry we were a couple weeks late. Your manager had reached out to us, and we'd like to catch up with a few of the winners from every episode. But we were on vacation, so I'm glad we were able to nail it down this week. Don't want to take anything away from the win. I really love the Dana White Contender Series. Love going to the fights. Love previewing it and talking about it. And anyway,
it was really fun.
Yeah, I'm glad it was. I'm sure the best night of your life in terms of your career. So congratulations. Any word now? We saw that Artem fell through in the sense that he's got another fight. But is there anyone else you'd like to call out or point to?
No, I think I've got something brewing. I'll be fighting again before the end of the year. I got something on the line right now.
All right.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. So.
Tell us this: do you need a passport or to go to your fight or no?
No, I'll be in America.
You'll be in America. All right, cool. I love the featherweight division, brother. It's tough. It is deep, but it's got some monsters and killers from top to bottom.
Yeah.
But I said this a few weeks ago. I mean, look at this, guys. Andre Harrison in our rankings, we rank all the fighters, not just the UFC. Andre Harrison is 19-0. He's number 15.
Mm-hmm.
So Zabit Magomed Sharapov, Yair Rodriguez, the Korean Zombie, Ricardo Lamas, Jeremy Stevens, Cub Swanson, Mirsad Bektik, Darren Elkins, Alex Volkanovski, Renato Moicano. I haven't even gotten to the top 5. Mendez, Edgar, Aldo, Ortega, and Holloway. Crazy division. Yeah. So welcome to it, Bobby. Eat your Wheaties. You're gonna have a fun ride, man.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Take care. We'll see you.
You too. See you later.
Big shout out to myself for lining that up, and Rick Guerrero for the assist. There's the fist bump. Of course, Lou DeBono always hooking me up with the Black Beast, Derrick Lewis. Shout out to myself for lining that one up again. Goes, who do we have for tomorrow?
Joseph Benavidez.
Co-hosting. I saw him at the Extreme Couture Gym.
Yeah?
Yeah, he gave me the nod, almost like just to confirm. I'm sure he already confirmed with you. Anything else down the pipeline, or you can't release that yet?
I can't say just yet.
Looking good, though?
The guy that I told you yesterday,
I
think is going to be next week.
Oh.
And then there's a replacement for today.
All right.
For tomorrow.
All right, cool. All right, we got to take one more break, right? Yeah, let's do that. There's music. It's MMA Junkie Radio on the New Fight Nation, Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
They were abducted by aliens and instantly returned for raiding all their snacks. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, guys, so some news came out earlier. We haven't had a chance to talk about it because of the back-to-back interviews with Derrick Lewis and Bobby Moffatt. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. But any thoughts on Michael Chandler, who re-signed with Bellator?
Well, I have to imagine they told him, here is a lot of money. But I also feel like they said, this is our plan to get you more stars. Because Michael's always been frustrated with that. So I have to imagine that something big is coming that way. And I know people keep teasing like Eddie Alvarez. I don't know that would make the situation. I mean, they can only fight once.
One more, you mean?
Yeah. Like, well, it would be a great fight. I think it kind of has to happen. But long term, I think that's kind of maybe along the lines of the same mistake that Bellator has been making. Invest a little bit more in fresher stuff.
Well, for one, Eddie hasn't signed yet with Bellator.
Right.
Two, it wouldn't even be for a title because Primus is the champ. And Primus is now saying he's ready. So does Michael want to get his belt back and then fight Eddie? Or does he just want to fight Eddie?
I hope not.
I wanted him to go to the UFC. So I was disappointed to read that. I'm happy for him to experience free agency and get courted. Hopefully it was more than just those two organizations. And in the end, I'm sure he's a smart kid. He went with what he thought was the best decision. But I just politely and respectfully disagree. But I mean, I'm not the one that handles his bank account. I'm not the one that feels what he feels, you know, as far as like being a 32-year-old with that kind of mileage on you, not just from MMA but from wrestling. So he's got to make that decision. All I can answer is just as the media who knows maybe 5% of what's really going on or whatever, and as a fan, you know, how I really wanted him to test himself against the other guys. Because let's just say they bring back Eddie. Then what? Primus, then what? By then, is anything else down the pipeline? Anything cooking?
What if Eddie wins? If you're Bellator, like, I just don't see. It doesn't make sense.
The UFC, you could think of like 6 matchups that he could have. You know, I mean, look at Gagey. He's 1-2. He still has Vic in the main event on Saturday, and that's at 1-2. Those are all big money fights with the possibility of getting 50,000. And listen to Chandler's interview. He says, "My fights don't suck. They always deliver." That means you're always in the running for those 50 G's.
Yeah.
And possibly wearing gold, adding to your legacy. I say it as a frustrated fan and media member, not because I want to hate on Michael Chandler, he's a dear friend of ours, you know, but I'm calling it like I see it. How about you, Dan? What's your reaction?
I mean, I want to say I'm disappointed, but you know, we just had our daily debate yesterday, and I was on the side of I thought it was going to go this way based on his interview. So selfishly, yeah, I'm a bit bittersweet about it because it's just I really wanted to see, you know, him in his athletic prime, what he could do in the UFC, and test himself that way. But I understand. I understand it more than I maybe would a couple years ago with today's climate on maybe why it's not as sexy, you know, to go. I mean, heck, I'd be a cheap date, guys. You know, George said, you know, the courting period. It immediately popped into my head, like, ooh, what kind of dinners would I be taking on if I was a free agent? Like, I think that would weigh a lot with me, you know. Like, you know, Coker's going to bring he's going to come strong with a Korean barbecue, but, you know, Dana White, you're probably going to go out for some caviar, some steaks. Anyway, that's another conversation. A little disappointed, and again, I'll reiterate the point. If they did sign Michael Chandler, I think that's going to speak a lot to their relationship with Paramount. So maybe Coker isn't, you know, just throwing stuff out there. Maybe their relationship with Paramount is good and getting better.
You mean Viacom?
Viacom, but the Paramount Network is their big network.
But they're going to be off that, aren't they? I thought DAZN. I know DAZN and Paramount overlap, but I thought DAZN is going to be it after that, right?
I don't think so. I
but
think they're split.
Oh, it's still the two.
But it's the relationship, right? Because Paramount houses brands like CMT, which is big things for Michael Chandler, which was big selling points for him. So that was my thing. And so if that was such a big thing for Chandler, even his most recent interview, that was such a sticking selling point. I got to imagine they got to bring that to the table. Maybe not. Maybe they compensate it with pay or some other way. I mean, I'm sure Chandler's getting taken care of, but I got to imagine their Paramount relationship looks good.
Well, we'd love to get him on the show and just see what he thinks. And, you know, get it from his side, obviously. But we also want somebody to be happy with their decision. It's their decision. Got to respect that. These are just our reactions.
Right.
And certainly, I'm sure he was thinking about his wife, Bree, his boy, Hap, and I don't know. We don't know all the facts. Maybe there's just too much gold at the end of this rainbow for him to pass up on. I don't know. Thanks again to Derrick Lewis and Bobby Moffatt. Tomorrow we have Joseph Benavidez co-hosting with us, and maybe Goes will wrangle another guest or two. You'll have to tune in for that. Let me plug the YouTube page one more time. A lot of the shows, if you missed any part of them, you want to see what the antics of what's going on here during the show, when we have our in-studio guests, or it's just us goofing off. It's youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video. We are out of here. For Danny and Dan and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be a champion.
In the daytime, if you see it once, you'll never